lost jobs, 300,000. And in Delaware County alone, just in 2020, 19,000. And I'm not being solicitous when I say, these are two of the finest congressmen in the United States Congress in terms of getting things done. I really mean it. And the American Rescue Plan is going to do more than just provide for the PPE.
Now the big question is, will there be a fourth round of stimulus payments? Now guys, the great news is that the IRS is now starting to distribute the third round of stimulus checks, which is worth up to $1,400 per eligible adult and child. Well, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell last month made a good case for the government to spend more stimulus relief. He said that the economy is highly uncertain, and he also indicated that stimulus checks are not likely to drive up inflation.
One of the things that was done early on, they passed the CARES Act early on. And what they did was they provided for an inspector general, an outfit to look over where the money was going to make sure that it was spent properly. And the first thing the president did came along, he fired the inspector general. And we found out that only 40% of the people who in fact were small businesses got in on the deal. And you got very big businesses getting a lion's share of that money. So when we wrote this rescue plan, they were part of the insisting that we have an inspector general to make sure the money goes exactly where it's supposed to go.
CEOs of retail chains also might like to see more government cash going to consumers. Retail sales surged in January after the second round of stimulus checks went out. But a plan for the future recurring stimulus checks would have no shortage of detractors. Republicans oppose the third stimulus checks as expensive and unnecessary, and moderate Democrats may feel that way about recurring payments. They demanded changes for the third round to target the stimulus checks toward the neediest Americans. Beyond the likely opposition, after all, Democrats pushed the Biden stimulus bill through Congress using a budget process that allowed them to pass legislation with simple majorities. Typically, bills needed a 60-vote supermajority to make it through the Senate because of what's called the filibuster rule. Biden and Democrats can use a streamlined go it alone approach just one more time in 2020. And then they have to wait until next fiscal year, which starts on October 1st to do that. Now guys, banks like Chase and Wells Fargo said the funds were not clear until Wednesday. Wells Fargo added that would waive any overdraft fees that occur as a result of the issue. They tweeted out, "Our goal is to support our customers, and we will proactively reverse outstanding Wells Fargo fees, including overdraft fees, for those who have qualifying negative ending daily balance when the stimulus payment is deposited." They also added, "As we did for our prior stimulus payments, we will reach out proactively to the customers who have a qualifying negative ending daily balance on the day prior to the deposit. Most Americans will receive one of the $1,400 checks, but not everyone will receive a check immediately. The IRS will send the checks in batches over the next few days and weeks. People who have filed the 2020 or 2019 tax returns and have bank information on file with the tax agency are more likely to receive their stimulus checks through direct deposit."
I think you have to put it into context of the January number was extremely strong, so up over 5%. And remember, that's when we got the $600 stimulus checks going out. So it was kind of juiced by that. February, remember, lots of bad weather. There was actually, you just talked about it, there was some delay in tax returns, et cetera. So I think that's going to hold down February. But, hold on to your hat because March, we've got the bigger checks going out. So I think, most people are really going to look through this and say there's a big retail sales number likely coming in March and perhaps, moving over into April as well. So I don't think it's going to upset people in terms of some sort of worry about the economy and may, in fact, again, when you're thinking about central banks, say, oh, here's another reason why we may not want to be so accommodative.
This morning, I also want to continue the theme of highlighting aspects of the American Rescue Plan that have not received enough attention. We've heard a lot about the progress that we've made on vaccines. I read this morning that 109 million Americans have received at least one vaccination. So we are well on the path to getting Americans vaccinated. And checks have gone out the door. I was on a call with people from Central Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, and Brownsville last night, and many had already received their checks, very much needed, very much welcomed. As President Biden announced today on the vaccines, we've had 100 million shots in people's arms and 100 million checks in people's pockets. Let's say that again. That sounds good to me, Mr. President. 100 million shots in people's arms and 100 million checks in people's pockets. Democrats are delivering what we promised. Now, we've heard a lot about how the American Rescue Plan will help Americans who need it the most. The 20% of Americans at the lowest levels of income will receive the highest levels of support. It's about time. We had the mirror image of that when our Republican colleagues ran the Senate, where the top 1% did the best and the bottom 20% were totally ignored.
It was built by the American people and supported by the 5 historic and completely bipartisan bills that Congress passed just last year. Later on Thursday, the nation heard remarks from President Biden. The president spoke in a heartfelt way about grief and loss, but his vision for the days ahead was badly lacking. Along a number of crucial dimensions, the Biden administration keeps trying to rewrite recent history and overrule science. Let's take vaccinations. The president's speech tried to reinforce the myth that
many workers, some 10 million people in the country lost their jobs. Go to any downtown in Vermont and you're going to see small businesses that have been shut down. And you and the younger people of this country, millions of you, have seen your lives disrupted in a way that we have never seen before. You have not been able to go to school. You're worried about your educational futures.
Those of you on SSI and SSDI. Social Security survivor benefits are paid to widows, widowers, and dependents of eligible workers. This benefit is particularly important to young families with children. Now, you may receive survivor's benefits when a family member dies. You and your family could be eligible for benefits based on the earnings of a worker who died. The deceased person must have worked long enough to qualify for benefits. The Supplemental Security Income Program, or SSI, provides monthly payments to adults and children with a disability or blindness and who have income and resources below specified amounts. SSI payments can also be made to people 65 and older without disabilities who meet the financial limits. People who have worked long enough may also qualify to receive Social Security disability or retirement benefits as well as SSI. The Social Security and SSDI program provides assistance to people with disabilities. It will pay benefits to you and certain family members if you are insured. For your health benefits under COBRA, the COBRA Act gives workers and their families who lose their health benefits the right to choose to continue group health benefits provided by the group health plan. So that's all the news in today's video, everybody. Hopefully you guys found this video useful and helpful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on post notifications, and give this video a like.